What's up YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Today I'm jumping into a new unboxing video, which I absolutely just had to do because the last one I did was nearly 4 years ago, and believe it or not, it was actually on the original Scuf Reflex Pro. Now I've got the new controller with the TMR upgrades, but if you do want to go see that old video, I'm going to link it in the top corner of this video and in the description below. But whatever you do, man, just don't laugh at my view count, you f***s. Anyway, rather than talk through the unboxing video about how the sticker peel is so satisfying, or ooh, the packaging is nice, I'm just going to first give you the quick list of specs included with the Scuf Reflex Pro with the TMR upgraded sticks. And then I'm going to yap about my journey as to why I determined this was the best controller to go ahead with for me. And then I'm going to show you the testing results of the new TMR sticks versus the old potentiometer sticks, and throw in some edits here and there because that's just how I do shit here. And if you want to skip to any part of the video, I've included the chapter so you can get to that one thing that you're most interested in seeing. So let's get things started, shall we? Beginning with the specs, the PlayStation 5 Scuf Reflex Pro controller includes 4 customizable rear paddles with 3 onboard profiles. You have interchangeable thumbsticks and faceplates. You get wired or wireless connectivity, of course. The adaptive triggers signature to the PlayStation 5 controller. The performance grip on the controller itself, USB-C 3.5mm stereo headset jack, and a 1-year manufacturer's warranty. During the purchase process, you can also get the option to customize your controller's colors and upgrade to Hall Effect or even TMR sticks, or you can even upgrade to the Reflex FPS model, but I'm not even going to touch on that one. Now, let me tell you, it's honestly about time I got a new controller, because yes, the previous one lasted me nearly 4 years. Which is insane, but all things said, it treated me very well, despite getting stick drift literally within a couple days of owning it, which I dealt with over time, cleaned, scrubbed, and disassembled, reassembled, and then I did this about 500 times to the right joystick over time because some other YouTubers said it'd help, and it did. Shout out to whoever the first person was to ever blow their own joystick and shamelessly post about it on YouTube, wherever you are, King.
I can do it myself.
So this time before finalizing the video, I decided to wait 2 weeks and test out the new controller to see if any drift kicks in as well, which we'll talk about later on in this video. But why did I put up with that for nearly 4 years, you might ask? Because every motherfucking controller released back then up until Hall Effect sticks came out, and even now wherever default potentiometer sticks are being sold, are a bloody scam if you ask me. And they all have drift, and it's all just ridiculous. But here's the thing. I almost caved on the Hall Effect controller, and I actually sort of did, in fact. Back in July, I bought the Easy SMX X20 controller recommended by Linus Tech Tips, which was actually the controller he ranked at the top of his list through a process of elimination when it came to a lot of the Hall Effect style controllers. Speaking of Linus Tech Tips, that reminds me about this amazing segue
to our sponsor.
Just kidding, I ain't big enough for sponsors yet, but you can help me by liking and subscribing to this channel. So do that. Anyways, to my surprise, the Easy SMX X20 was a great controller with one major flaw, being that I could not use it on the PS5 where some of my favorite gaming resided. I bought the controller as part of a thought process where I could begin a dual PC stream setup, which I'm still considering doing, and actually I'm kind of in the middle of even getting all that configured right now as I'm recording this video. And then I was going to use that controller to do all my gaming on PC, but I just couldn't shake the fact that it would be completely useless for any PlayStation exclusive games that I may want to revisit with my new controller. And I'll be honest, had I not returned it, I likely would have never gotten this new Scuf controller. And this is when I ended up going down the rabbit hole looking for the perfect PS5 controller that supports Hall Effect sticks, so I didn't have to worry about stick drift no more. But this is when I learned something new. And upon searching for a controller that supports Hall Effect for PlayStation 5, I saw a YouTube short of a guy reviewing a Hall Effect controller versus the TMR supported controller. And I was like, wait, what? Rewind a second. What the fuck are TMR controllers? Do they just mean potentiometer sticks? And the answer was no, they're not. TMR stands for tunneling magnetoresistance, and these types of controls are newer in 2025 or very late 2024 when they were first announced to my knowledge. And honestly, I'll just cut to the chase because I did about 2 hours of research on this total, and every single video I watched had all said the same thing, in that they're just like Hall Effect sticks, but less sensitive and more accurate, which to me equaled better for FPS gaming. Whereas Hall Effect sticks will still be okay, But if you cherish your accuracy and sanity, then TMR is now the way to go. So of course I had to change my mind. But there's still one major problem though. After digging and researching everywhere, the only options that I deemed worth buying was the Scuf Reflex Pro controller. And only for the reason being that it supports PlayStation 5 and PC gameplay, whereas every other TMR controller I could find does not. So after all that contemplating, I just decided to heck with it and just went with what I knew best, which was the OG in the custom controller space, and something that I'd still deem was reliable over those last 4 years despite those previous stick drift issues, and does still technically work to this day, in which the new winner for me was going to be a new Scuf Reflex Pro controller, albeit this time upgraded with the new TMR sticks. So in my last video, I didn't really do a rating or a review of the controller, but since I've had this one for a couple weeks, I did want to give it a bit of a review. So this time around, I'm going to be actually rating the Scuf Reflex Pro on a scale of 1 to 5 for how I like the controller stylistically, how accurate it feels, can I control it better, what was the learning curve like going from potentiometer sticks to TMR sticks, and then finally, of course, the pricing. And I'll be using my old Scuf Reflex Pro controller with the potentiometer sticks for comparison during the accuracy and control tests, as that's the easiest thing for me to compare with personally. But first, I want to jump right into the Battlefield 6 training grounds and do some test shooting. And on first try, it felt pretty darn natural, I must say, which was pretty good. But I had to plug in my old Scuf to see what the difference was. And the main thing I noticed was that the recoil actually kind of felt the same. But the old controller felt like I had to fight my own recoil a little bit more. It wasn't necessarily insane or anything like that, but the old controller felt like I had to fight my own recoil control more for some reason. And one thing that changes immediately with the TMR joysticks is your dead zone, which I was able to significantly lower the dead zone on the left stick and then remove the dead zone entirely on the right, which is insane to even think about, even after years of stick drift being a thing. There was a massive difference. And then I decided to try another test by going to hardwaretester.com/gamepad and plug in a controller to see exactly how centered the sticks are when untouched, how accurate they are when I make circular motions, and lastly, if any stick drift would be visible here on the old controller compared to the new. And right off the hop, the new controller beat the old one on every aspect. Here you can see the controller's right stick was constantly jittering and just slightly off center in its default position. The left was off center just slightly as well, but no drift, even though I had drift on that left stick a few times as well in the past, but it just kind of comes and goes. Then during the circularity test, the old controller averaged at 16.3% error on the left and 17.1% error on the right, and the downward directions of both sticks being fairly far out of the margin, whereas the tops were a little bit better. Then on the new sticks, we had immaculate center position, very little or no jittering whatsoever. You can see the one stick is off by like a slight pixel, but I mean, whatever. But no jittering on that left stick, no jittering on the right stick. Then during the circularity tests, the left stick maxed at 15.7% error and the right at 15.3% error, with that being a difference of 0.6 on the left and nearly a whole 2% difference on the right stick, where we did need the most accuracy. And in my opinion, so far, that meant the tests were still going great. But then something dawned on me as well. Like, I needed to make sure my aiming was perfect in every aspect when it comes to competitive gaming. So I thought, well, aiming at targets is one thing, but there's a lot of cases where I just need to look a certain direction or turn and burn an opponent in a really fast hipfire position. And that's when I tried the in-game visual test to see what the difference would look like when first making as smaller circles with the right stick on each controller. And let me tell you, this was the biggest difference maker for me so far. But on the new controller, I was pretty accurate without aiming at a target and no aim assist. Making small circles felt really easy to do, natural, and at the proper pace and motion that it should feel like. Then I switched to the old controller again, and let me tell you, it was a massive difference. I felt like it was right here too, where I began constantly having to fight with my controller. The sensitivity, despite being the same for each controller in-game, felt higher on the old controller, and often I was looking a little too far out of the zone I was aiming at. Then when I'd correct, I'd overcorrect and snap to another spot I don't really want to aim at. It was a literal night and day difference for me here, which was huge progress. So I took this mentality and decided, let's run another quick test on the gamepad tester site and see what the results look like. And well, here's what that looked like. All right, there's some cat tax this time. She wouldn't get off my desk, so she's part of the video now. All right, so I'm gonna begin making small circles with the left. Oh, now you're moving. All right, here's what it looks like. Might be going a bit too fast. Even those little spikes going out of my small circle is actually just my thumb moving. But it's not drift. And then doing the right joystick like this is pretty good. Now the new the old controller. So this one, okay, so it's not jittery now for some reason, but it's still off center on both the left and right sticks. But here, watch the left circle. Left circle's not terrible. It just feels more sensitive for some reason on these older sticks. So pretty good on the left, which it should be, because that one you don't usually grind away as hard on. And then the right one, this is where it gets iffy. You can see how shaky it is. Like I am fighting it to try and keep it in center. It is just so jittery. And then watch, I'm just gonna let go of it from here. I'll do that a few times. Look at that. Look at that. That's even going up this way. And it springs off to the left. See that? That is what kills me in games, is I'll stop to aim at somebody and then it just springs me, like any direction I go, it just springs me off to the right. It drives me up the wall. So yeah. I am actually about 3 weeks into owning this controller now, and I gave it the extra week because I wanted to play with it more in games, see if any stick drift kicked in, and just kind of test it out and play with it. Now with the style, I don't think any other company does it better than Scuf when it comes to customization. I do wish, however, there was more color options or patterns and things that you could throw on the controller. They have a bunch of preset patterns and colors, but I mean, there's also no other company that I'm aware of that's actually putting out these customizable options on their Pro controllers. It's pretty close to a 5 out of 5 if you ask me, and I would actually just say let's give it a 4.5 out of 5. But then when it comes to the accuracy and control, this was my first deep dive into controller testing, so of course I might be a little bit biased here, but it's tough to really say because I truly was seeing incredible differences and progress in the changes I've made. And the more I fine tune this controller in every game I play, the better it actually gets. Just for the bias sake of things, I'm going to deduct a 0.1 off of this, and it's going to be a 4.9 out of 5. It's almost perfect, okay? This was probably the most interesting part to rate because it's not like I'm learning a new controller. I'm actually just learning new joysticks and seeing things like the dead zone removal, which to me I thought was never even possible with a controller in today's day and age. But removing that dead zone entirely and then just watching the accuracy and control all just working exactly to my specifications so perfectly, I'd say this was pretty simple. The only other way I can deduct points here is if the learning curve was stubborn or created other issues that were never present before. So honestly, for this, I am giving this a perfect 5 out of 5. Here's the difficult part for Scuf, okay? The pricing. I'll be honest, at the beginning of this video, I was ready to drop a 0 or a 1 out of 5 on the pricing rank alone because all things considered, yes, the price is high, but to me, Scuf is also considered to be the golden standard of custom pro controllers. And with a luxury controller, is going to come luxury pricing. So I didn't want to go as hard on them for that. But because of today's pricing and the Scuf controller versus the competitors out there at this given moment, I'm still ranking the pricing at a 2 out of 5. And overall, that gives us a ranking of 4.1 out of 5. I think that's pretty fair for the Scuf PS5 Reflex Pro controller. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like and subscribe for more. And let me know down in the comments below what your thoughts are on this controller and if it helped you on your hunt for a new controller as well. I'd be really curious to hear from you guys. I'm listening to everybody and want all kinds of feedback on all of my videos. So everything helps. Every little bit is awesome. So thank you guys for coming to check out the channel. But yeah, that'll be it. Cheers.